Hi there, Chizy. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting this essay for you. I'm happy to see that you have submitted an essay for correction and that you are ready to get feedback on that essay. So let's take a look and see what you wrote here, shall we? So it's about ex-convicts talking to teenagers, so let's see what you wrote. The idea of allowing ex-convicts who are no longer committing criminal acts, plural, to educate youngsters on the consequences of indulging in crimes has been disputed by some group of individuals. In my view, I totally agree that these people are in a better position to counsel young people because of their past prison experiences, and teenagers will be more keen to learn from their previous experiences. All right, on the whole, I really like this, but there are a couple of things that I would change. So first of all, I picked up on one place where you were missing an S, but there were others as well. So the idea of allowing ex-convicts who are no longer committing criminal acts, that should be plural. And then I didn't like the word indulging. You don't indulge in crime. You can engage in criminal acts, okay? Or you are involved in crime, but indulge is definitely the wrong word here, okay? And then this should have had an S as well, some groups of individuals. Let's see. And the rest of it is okay. The one thing that I would also change here is this. You said in a better position. And the reason I'm pointing this out is the essay says they are the best people. So for me, this word here, the best, it's a really important word in this task. So, you've got this superlative here, so that means better than everybody. Here, though, you're saying that they're in a better position. Well, then the question then becomes better than whom? And and then who is even better than them? So if that's how you develop it and you then talk about who they are better than and then who else is better than them, then I would be okay with this. But otherwise, you probably should have written are in the best position to counsel young people. Okay. All right. So let's move on and see what you said after that. To begin, it is often believed that experience is the best teacher and people learn faster from their past experiences and those of others, those experiences, okay? So it has to match here, so plural, plural. Similarly, people who have spent time in jail obviously know how it feels and will be more able to coach young people about the dangers and effects of committing crime, as they may not want them to be sentenced to imprisonment, rather learn from their past. Okay, the grammar is good. I don't have any comments or suggestions about that, so there are really no problems, but it's really underdeveloped. I mean, take a look at this paragraph. It's the same length as your introduction. That should be your first clue that you haven't written enough. Also, compare it to your next paragraph. Your next paragraph is like 3 times as long. So you really don't want this to happen. You want to have relatively balanced paragraphs. All right, this is important because one of the things that you're being scored on is your ability to deal with all parts of the task equally. And looking at this, it doesn't look like you have, okay? It looks like you're dealing with this part very superficially, whatever you're saying here, and then here you're really going into more depth. And you don't want that. You want this to be equal. So I also want to take a look at what your central idea was here. You said that experience is the best teacher, and because they have this experience, they will be able to coach youngsters. Okay, so let's move on. Furthermore, it is certain that a high percentage of teenagers who indulge in different crimes, we already said indulge is the wrong word, are not aware of how it will affect them negatively. While some do not believe they can be locked up in prison by participating in what they assume to amount of crimes like robbery, carrying a knife, or gun for protection, for safety. All right, you can't use while like this. While has to be connected to an additional clause, and clauses consist of, at the very least, a noun and a verb. But you can't just use it on its own because it depends on being connected with something else. Hence, comma, hearing from someone who has spent time in prison becomes paramount to them. This will make them understand that all criminal acts, plural, are liable to punishment irrespective of their young age and will avert them from participating in legal offenses. This will make them understand. Okay, fine. For instance, the incidence of crime rate in one of the deprived boroughs of London, capital L, declined dramatically when a youth counseling scheme was launched with an A, not just with a U. So it's AU. By ex-gang members who finished serving their prison sentence. They set up the scheme to create more awareness on how the youth can be affected by, not from, violating the law and other illegal acts. Okay. All right, we'll talk about it in a minute. Let's look at your conclusion. In conclusion, I definitely support the idea of people who have tasted the four walls of prison talking to teenagers and counseling them on the dangers of committing term crimes. All right, that's fine. All right, so what I'm getting here is really good grammar. I'm getting very good vocabulary. All of these are at a very high level, and that's great. It's a great place to be starting from because these are some of the language skills portion are the ones that is the one rather, I should say. The language skills portion is the portion that is a little more time consuming to improve. So it looks to me like other than those pesky little S's, that your grammar and your vocabulary are at a very high level. So that's great. What for me is lacking here is coherence and cohesion. I didn't feel like your paragraphs were particularly cohesive. I didn't feel like there was a central idea to each paragraph. And I didn't think they were particularly logically arranged as well. And so, in other words, what it's missing is some structure, okay? Some structure and some organization. This paragraph, as we already mentioned, is missing development in addition to structure and organization. The good news about that, as I indirectly already mentioned, is that these skills are relatively easier to gain than the language skills that I already talked about. So really what I think you need is some coaching on how to appropriately structure your paragraphs, how to develop them, again, appropriately, so that you can get a really, really solid score, and which is a score which is more representative of your actual language level, which seems to be rather high. So I haven't seen a task 1 from you. Obviously, I'd love to see what you're doing with task 1 because whether it's general or academic, both of them present a number of challenges. So I'd love to see what you're doing there in order to get a fuller image and a fuller picture of your of where you are for IELTS, okay? In the email accompanying this video, you'll have some links on how you can continue working with us. So please do check that out. I'd love to continue working with you and help you reach your IELTS goal, whatever that goal is. So see which of the opportunities best suits you. And I'm really looking forward to working together, okay? So best of luck to you.